Have you ever looked at someone in your life who is just incredibly kind, totally selfless, and yet they seem to be going through so much? It's one of those things that can really make you question if the world is fair at all. So today, let's dive into that paradox and see if we can find a whole new way of looking at it.
Right, this is the core question, the one that kind of nags at you. It just seems to fly in the face of what we're taught to believe. That if you put good out into the world, you get good back. So when we see the opposite happening, it's not just confusing. It feels deeply, fundamentally wrong.
I mean, we've all heard some version of this, right? It's a simple, powerful idea of justice that just feels right. But, as we all know, reality is often a whole lot messier. The answer, it turns out, isn't so simple. It means we have to look past this common wisdom and really dig into the deeper mechanics of how cause and effect actually work. So, to start unraveling this whole puzzle, we've got to talk about karma. But, and this is a big but, we're not talking about the pop culture version of instant justice. We need to get into its true and way more fascinating meaning. You see, in Buddhist philosophy, karma isn't some cosmic judge keeping score. It's much more like a law of nature, kind of like gravity. It's the hidden power within our actions and the potential ripple effects they carry. It's not about getting an immediate reward or punishment. It's about the subtle, lasting imprints that every single one of our actions leaves on the future. So forget the idea of a simple transaction. Think of it more like a giant tangled web. The kindness you show today doesn't just instantly cancel out a negative action from your past. Instead, all of these causes and all of these effects, they're all woven together and they ripen at different times, often when the conditions are just right. This ancient quote really nails the idea. Nothing, and I mean nothing, just happens in a vacuum. Our lives, our experiences, are all part of this huge, interconnected network of causality that's so much more complex than a simple good in, good out formula. And here is the absolute key takeaway from all this. The hardship a really good person is facing today isn't some kind of punishment for their current kindness. It could very well be the ripening of a karmic seed that was planted a long, long time ago. At the same time, their kindness right now is planting new, positive seeds for the future. It's just that the old ones, well, they still have to play out. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. We're going to move from this ancient philosophical framework to the modern world of psychology, because it turns out the very things that make a person kind, the mechanics of empathy, can also, ironically, be a huge reason for their suffering. Think about it. People who are highly empathetic, they feel what others are feeling, and they feel it deeply. They're the ones who often put everyone else first, who take on this massive sense of responsibility. And in doing all that, they can totally forget to take care of themselves. And while these are amazing qualities, they can also make a person incredibly vulnerable. Psychologists actually have a name for this: empathic fatigue. You probably know it as burnout. It's what happens when you're constantly absorbing the stress and the pain of the people around you without ever refilling your own emotional tank. You just get exhausted. This isn't a karmic punishment. It's a completely natural psychological consequence. And this is where things get really fascinating, because this is where those two big ideas, the ancient and the modern, just powerfully click together. This quote suggests that it's our mental attachment, our clinging, whether it's to outcomes, to other people's pain, or to our own sense of duty. That's what allows karma, or in this case, our psychological burdens, to get us all tangled up. So what we have here are these two really powerful ways of looking at the world. One is ancient and philosophical, the other is modern and scientific. But are they actually that different? Or are they maybe just describing the exact same human experience, just from different angles? Well, think of it like this. Buddhism gives us the massive big picture view, the why behind suffering, explaining it as this huge web of cause and effect. Psychology, on the other hand, it's like the zoom lens. It gives us the micro-level view, the how, explaining the specific emotional and cognitive things happening inside our heads that lead to that suffering. And this really brings us to the core insight of this whole thing. What one tradition might call unresolved karma looks an awful lot like what another might call unprocessed emotional burdens. They're basically two different languages describing the very same heavy weight that we can carry around with us. Okay, so if we have a deeper understanding of the problem now, the next logical question is, what do we do about it? How can kind, empathetic people protect themselves and maybe even turn this potential for suffering into a real source of wisdom? Let's talk about a practical path forward. It really boils down to three key things. First, it's about becoming more aware of your own emotional state and learning how to set healthy boundaries, which can be super hard for kind people. Second, it's about reframing suffering, seeing it not as a punishment, but as a teacher. And third, it's about using practices like meditation to build up that emotional resilience. Now, the goal here isn't to build some giant wall around yourself to avoid all pain. I mean, that's just impossible. The real goal is to fundamentally change your relationship with it. There's this incredible concept in Buddhism, Yi Ku Wei Shi, which literally means to take suffering as your teacher. And that is just a powerful, game-changing shift in perspective. And that brings us to the final and I think most transformative idea. When you start to bring these perspectives together, suffering stops being this random, cruel punishment. It becomes an opportunity. It's a signal from our own minds, maybe even from the universe, to wake up, to become more aware, and ultimately to grow wiser. So, I'll leave you with this question to really think about. By understanding these dynamics, both ancient and modern, we can make sure that our kindness doesn't become a heavy burden that exhausts us. Instead, we can make sure it remains what it's truly meant to be, a powerful, sustainable, and genuinely awakening strength.